And I'm Dave Bloom and I'm making a crumb cake. The first step is you have to preheat the oven to 350. After preheating the oven, I'm going to wash my hands and I'm going to wipe down the counter so everything's clean and sanitized before making the crumb cake. And then we're going to wipe the counters down and make sure they're all clean.
These are the ingredients for the crumb cake. You need 3 cups of unsalted butter, 7 1/2 cups of all-purpose flour, 4 1/2 cups of packed dark brown sugar, 1 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 4 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 5 tablespoons of ground cinnamon, and that's the topping. And for the cake you need 1 cup of sifted, unbleached or bleached all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/8 teaspoon baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 5 tablespoons of unsalted butter, 1/2 cup of superfine or strained sugar, 1 large egg, 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and 1/2 cup sour cream.
So the first thing you have to do is measure out 6 sticks of butter. I'm going to put it in the Pyrex. So you have to melt the butter. That's stick number 1. And the next step you have to do is put the butter in the microwave for about 25-30 seconds to melt it. If the butter is not completely melted, just put it on for a little longer. Alright, so I'm measuring out 7 1/2 cups of all-purpose flour for the crumb cake. Now that the butter is done, we're going to add that to the large bowl and flour so far as well. The next thing you can do is get 4 1/2 cups of dark brown sugar and use the knife as a leveler if you don't have one. Next thing we're going to do is measure out a just a teaspoon, 1 and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. The next thing we're going to do is add 4 teaspoons that you saw. Overfilled, so about 2 1/2. A little more careful, 3. We're around 4. It doesn't have to be exact. Vanilla. We're going to mix everything together using forks, using the 2-fork method, and make sure everything gets mixed together until crumbs start forming, and then that's when you know about everything's mixed and you're good. So it should start to stick together and get a little crummy, and that's a good thing, just like a crumb cake would. This is what it should look like after about 2 to 3 minutes of giving it a good mix. Make sure you get everything up from the bottom. But yeah. Next step we're going to do is we're going to spray the pans to make sure they don't, cake doesn't stick to them. And for the cake, this was the topping before, we're going to get another cup of flour and use the leveler and put it in another separate large mixing bowl. Just one. After washing, you're going to get another 1 teaspoon, using the leveler built in, of baking powder. Next thing you need is only 1/8 of a teaspoon of baking soda. So a quarter of what I'm using, which is a half a teaspoon. Looks like about 1/8. Next step after washing again, you're gonna get 1/2 a teaspoon of salt. Next step is getting 5 tablespoons, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're gonna cut it right there. And then we're gonna throw that in the bowl too. A large mixing bowl. The next step we're gonna do is we're gonna mix everything together. We're gonna start slow and speed up as we go. Next step we're gonna do is we're gonna get 1/2 a cup of granulated sugar. We use our leveler here. Level it out, and we're gonna pour it in, and we're gonna mix that up well. We're going to crack the egg. We're going to mix that up with the vanilla extract. We're going to use a 1/2 teaspoon. After washing, you get another 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Next thing, we're going to get about a 1/2 cup of sour cream and put it in the mixing bowl. We're going to mix everything together. We're going to use a squeegee. We're going to make sure we get everything, or a spatula. Silicone spatula. Get everything off. And that's it. And mix everything together. Next thing, we're going to mix everything together well. Not too fast for the speed though. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to put the cake batter down and spread it out evenly using a rubber spatula. Make sure we spread it out and get... Next step we're going to do is we're going to grab some of the topping and squeeze it in your fist, put it on the cake, and break it up into smaller pieces. Just like the topping. And make sure you get every little inch of the cake. And you can definitely be generous with this part of the cake, as the topping is most of the cake in this. After spreading all the crumb out evenly, we're going to put it in the oven for about 35 to 40 minutes. So in the meantime, while the cake is cooking, we're going to make sure we get started on these dishes and get everything squared away. Now that the cake's done, we're gonna take it out
Excellent.
and make sure that it's cooked well. Looks good. We're gonna continue the cleanup process and cut it up, and now it's time to eat.